everyone, Adi Tambarambaa, also known as Tammy Porter. Thanks so much for stopping by my YouTube channel. I can't wait to share this one with you. This is a new page I've done with the new art by Marlene. So I'll take you through what I used. I used a few other markers. I also used the new cut and paste block, which is called Whimsical World. I've used the new perfect size art journal. Love the colours of that. I've also used the new bold words stamp set, and the background building stamp set, which is new. And I've used some of the washi tape, the dotty washi tape. I've used, of course, the sticky glue, which is in everything, and lots of paint colours. So I've got lace, peony, ballet, punk, fuchsia, and I also used mermaid and azure and smurf and royal. So I stuck with sort of that pinky purpley blue colour palette. And then I've used a couple of the stencils. So I've used the Frantic Deco one, and I've used the awesome falling leaves as well. So lots and lots of the new products, and I have put all the codes in the description so you can find them if you're after them. Now, I flipped through that Whimsical World cut and paste block, and I love these girls. There's a few sort of these girls. Now, I think it's A5. The collage book is the same size as the perfect size journal. So there's these large girls in there, so they fit perfectly into this journal. And I knew that I needed a double page because I didn't want the girl all squashed in. I needed her to take up a fair amount of room, so I got 2 pages out. Now this paper is 300 GSM paper that's in all Marlene's journals, and it's the smooth one, so it's super easy to work with and add paints and all that kind of stuff. So I've cut out the girl, and she was on a ready, obviously she's got some ginger hair, which I love, and she's got some purple spot wings and stripy black and white stripes, which I'm a big fan of black and white stripes. And she's on a ready orange sort of background that Marlene's created, but I decided I would put her on contrast background. So she's sort of got that ginger hair, so I thought let's put her on a blue and purple background is what I was thinking. And then with her hair, I love putting things into the girl's hair. I do this a lot. I guess it's Frida inspired, but I'm always putting not just flowers. I usually end up putting houses and rainbows and all sorts of things. So I saw the birds that are also in the collage book, and I cut a couple of those out. I end up only just using the one that's got the more similar colourings to what I'm using in the background. But yeah, they're super cute, the little birds. So now it's time to create the background, and I thought because of her hair, the way it trails off, it was perfect for holding some birds in a nest. Okay, so I come in with azure first, and I do mix the azure with a little bit of water just to give it some movement because I'm just creating a background, so I just want to get that colour down. And then I've used fuchsia, which is purple, as well in the background. And then I've come in with a little bit of peony just for some softness. I want some depth and some softness. But have a look where that azure and that fuchsia meet, and you get that gorgeous bluey purple. It's just amazing. So yeah, love that. Okay, then this is a little bit of punk just in the centre, just so I've got some dark and some light and some mid-tones as well. So punk's part of the neon range, but it is a really beautiful colour. So this is just the background. So now it's time to build up that background. So I've kind of kept it lighter through the centre where I know that the girl's going to go, and I'm just creating some depth around. So I come in with the awesome Frantic Deco stencil, and I'm going to do some reductive stenciling. I do have a bit of a cold, I'm sorry. And I come in with Smurf, which is such a beautiful blue. And on that Frantic Deco stencil, last time I played with it, I discovered that awesome, it's got stacks of different shapes in there, but there's one that's kind of like a screen, like a latticey screen, and I just love that. So I've come in with the Smurf in, and I'm kind of putting it in areas where perhaps the colours haven't blended awesomely, or I want to cover up that I've gone from one colour to another. And not everywhere. I don't want to cover the whole area. I just want to create, you know, that dark and light and some interest. So I'm placing the Smurf down, and I do it with a little bit of Azure as well with my finger, and then I pull it up through that section of the stencil and leave behind those marks. And every now and then I keep placing my gel back and just sort of making sure it's working at this point in time. And this is the point where I work out, well, that bird has to be the one that goes in there. And I decide that the yellow one, you know, because of the colours I've used, it's not quite working anymore. So I discard that one, and I cut a place into her hair just for the bird to sit a bit better, so it looks like it's in a nest. And then I had done a little bit of the mark making with punk, with that neon colour, and I love punk for that. And I'd use a little bit of Smurf as well. And again, don't go crazy, cover up the whole background. We just want hints of it. And I kind of layered it near where I'd done the stenciling. And then I saw the purple in the Dotty washi set. The washi sets are awesome. And that purple is exactly the same colour as fuchsia. And I think that's what I love with Marlene's ranges. They all mix and match. So she tends to gravitate to the same colours. So they're consistent throughout her work. So there's a lot of bright colours, but they all mix in together. And there's enough differentness, but enough sameness to tie it all together. So I really, really love that about her stuff. So I grabbed a few of the bit of the washi tape and put it down. Now I ended up putting it on the left side, top left side and bottom right side, because I was thinking the girl's going to be in the centre, or off the side of the centre, but the top right's going to be where that nest is. And that way I've got a bit of balance. So something on the left, something bottom right, and something top right as well. So that's that rule of thirds. So I'm putting my girl down and just working out kind of where I want her to be. I did sketch around the edge of where I intend to stick her, just so I had an idea of where to put these leafy fronds. So I grabbed the falling leaves, and I love this stencil. I've been waiting for something like this for ages from Marlene, and she's knocked it out the park. It's fabulous. And I'm just kind of using not the whole fronds, but kind of the ends to stencil in some sort of leafy fronds, and they also look a bit like flowers. Just depends what colours you use. Like obviously if I'd done this all in greens, it would have looked like leaves. And I've just used the colours. I've pulled the colours out of the background, and I'm just alternating, and sometimes I even turn the stencil over just so I can get different directions. So I'm using the other technique for stenciling. I grabbed one of the artist sponges and wrung it out in water so that it sort of doubles in size and becomes really pliable, really soft. And I'm just stenciling paint through the stencil to create the images in the background. And for this one, I thought I'd try something different. So I had already stamped some white lace paint to create this sort of branchy look. And then I laid the stencil down over the top of that again. And then I used one of the stamps from the Bold Words. So there's a gorgeous little star background stamp in there. There's a few background stamps in there, but I like the star one. And I just stamped it through the stencil, so it only goes on the area that you've already stenciled with. And it's just a little trick when you've got sort of stencils with some larger areas, you can stamp through the stencil, and it's a nice little fun effect. And I thought it went really nicely with her wings. It kind of tied that all in. So now I'm just adding, I've got my marks in using my stencils, and now I just want to build on them. And this is where it takes your work, I think, to the next level. So I've got my base down and I just want to build on it. So I grab out the markers and I just sort of fill in a few of the gaps. So I join some of the leaves onto a branch, and I create some different colour depths And you'll just see that I build up some of the layers. I don't do a huge amount, but it's just enough just to sort of take it to the next point. And then when I'm happy with that, I do add a few little dots as well, and that ties in with the dots in her wings and also kind of looks a bit like berries as well. So I do that too. And then I stick the girl down onto the background, and as you can see, I haven't put her straight in the middle because I know I want to put a quote on the left hand side, and I don't like the focal image to be exactly centered. I always like it to be off to the side a little bit. Just helps draw your eye into the page, and it feels more natural not to be completely centered. So now I'm just faffing really and just adding a couple more extra layers, and as I said, joining some of the branches, and I come in with black pen. I'm doing white at the moment, but I do come in with black pen and do that as well. Now I'm pretty sure I come back and add more sort of depth to this, but I decided it's time to work on the background, and I grabbed that new background building stamp set, which is awesome. Marlene's mark making and background stamps are always fabulous, and in this one there's a really strong graphic one that's sort of got squares and grids, and I think, oh yeah, I'm going to use that one. That one's going to look really, really cool. So I'm stamping that just in the background, so a little bit down the right hand edge, and then on the bottom and left hand side, and a little bit at the top. So I don't want to put it all through the background, I just want to create little hints of it. And again, I'm using that visual triangle, so top, bottom, side is kind of what I've done, and that will help pull that eye into that focal point. And now I'm adding lots and lots of scribbly marks to her hair. Marlene's kind of done the outline, but I thought I just want to fill it in a little bit more and give her some tendrils around her face, because obviously I've cut her out and you cut off a little bit of, you know, some of the stuff that Marlene's done. So I just want to add that back in. So I'm adding extra lines, and this is where I'm going around the branches and the leafy fronds and stuff, and just giving it all a bit more definition. Marlene's artwork is amazing, and she's got a lot of the detail there, but it's a matter of defining some of the hair and some of the face as well. So when you print these collage sheets go to print, the black never comes out real black. So I don't highlight everything, but just a little bit of her perhaps eyelashes and her pupils, and definitely, you know, the tendrils around her hair. I just add to what Marlene has already done. And just by outlining the fronds, I'm sure you can see that it kind of brings them to life, and just joining the leaves onto the branches and adding that bit of definition. So I missed out the part where I've also used a little little stamp from the background building stamp set, and it's a little like circles radiating out, and it's only small, but it reminded me of a little bit of a flower or a berry. So I've stamped that in 3 places around her hair. And I used sort of a masking technique just to block out her hair, so it's coming out from behind her hair, so it looks like it's all part of the bird's nest that I have created. So that's a fun little circle stencil. There's a circle stamp. There's a couple of them in that stamp set, and circles are amazing. You can use them in background, you use them in centers of flowers. They can be used over and over and over. So that's a really great stamp that can be used for so many things and will be very well loved, I am sure. So now I'm beginning to add in the white highlights, but I did miss out that I added a little bit more stamping into the background, just repeating really over where I'd already been, and sort of adding a bit more depth to that. And I did scribble around the washi tape as well, just to define that. And now I've, you know, kind of completed the focal point, I decide I just need a touch more stenciling in the background. And so I've come in with the beautiful azure, and I'm just doing the same technique, and with the same stencil, I'm just putting a little bit down and pulling it up through the stencil. And then I'm just using some of the colours that are in there, so it's the same paint colours, just to add little touches with my finger around the border, just to create a little bit of depth around that border, so it frames it a little bit. It's only subtle, but it does make a difference. Okay, so it's time to pull off the tape that I joined the two pages together, because it's, you know, I'm getting close to finishing now. So I then, because I'd glued down the girl, I just need to trim that off a little bit, just so she's in two parts. And now I begin to add that real shadowing to her by going around her with my Stabilo awl. Now I don't go around all of her, I just go around where I think there'll be extra shadows and just fill that in with some water, just to bring a bit of shadowing and a bit, you know, just to push her forward so that she's sitting up off the background. This bit does take a while, so I think I'll just let you watch again. Okay, I'm happy with all of that. So now it's time to add in that stencil. So using the bold words clear stamps, oh, I love those. So there's a really bold create word. So that's my sort of starting point. So I stamped the create using archival ink just into a gap that I'd purposely left for a quote. And then I just really am just doing some personal journaling. So I write, create the life you deserve. You can give yourself what others didn't. So yeah, this is a bit of a healing page, which I do quite often, and talk about how art journaling really helps me to process things and helps me to realign myself with what's important to me. And I think I always also put a little bit of a quote, because I'm thinking about how she's got wings and there's a bird in her hair. So I'm thinking about freedom, flying, that kind of thing. So I add just to her stripy top, when you feel safe, you are free. So that the freedom was kind of, you know, as I'm creating this page, create and free were coming to me. So that's what I went with. So that is it. I'll leave you with all the close-ups so you can see lots of the background work. And this girl's just beautiful. I love her. Can't wait to play with the other girls as well. But yeah, you can see in depth some of the beautiful stenciling that stencil creates. So thanks for sticking with me. As always, you know how much I love hearing from you. And if you haven't subscribed, do so others can find me. Thanks so much. Bye.